Hey, folks, I am with a very special author today. In fact, this guy, he is probably the number one in his industry. And I love talking with people like that because I don't know a lot about his topic. But as I've studied and found out more about his book, I'll tell you what, he's number one. So, Paul Beers, welcome.
Thank you very much. And hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in today.
Oh, man, I'll tell you what, you already got a crowd here. You got people jumping in. So, Paul, first of all, pretty bold title, Discovery, Disaster to Recovery. In fact, I'm going to show people on Amazon. We just got the news that the book is already blowing up. But what is the book about?
Well, it's a disaster. It's a big title because a disaster is a big deal. And so the
Yeah.
book is basically about the experience and with going through this on behalf of clients and actually personally too,
Mm,
since I live in Florida, and what to do when you get hit with a disaster, with the focus on windows and doors, which are very controversial in as far as whether they get paid or not in insurance claims. So
yeah.
kind of talks about all the things, all the different types of damages, and then and goes through the process of evaluating it, filing insurance claim, getting it resolved, and hopefully, in a good way, and then repairing the damage.
And I've learned like when this thing happens, you need answers quick. What is hurricane season, first of all? Like when is that happen?
It starts June 1st and it runs into November. Um, the big active time is like the first week in September. It's like probably of all that we've worked on so many storms in the last few years. Of all the storms we've worked on, they're all like September 10, September 17, right in that time frame. It's really, really active. And I think, people are well familiar with this that are in the storm business. But
Oh yeah.
hot weather, warm water, not a good combination.
Oh, I bet. And by the way, little Paul's a good author, but he's also a good guy. We were at a restaurant the other day. Can I tell that quick story?
Sure.
We were at a
Yeah.
restaurant the other day, very good restaurant in Chicago, and the waitress came around and said, "Hey, I got dessert menu. Does anyone want dessert?" And I said, "What do you have?" And she said something about bread pudding or something. I said, "Oh, wow, that sounds really good." I said, "Nah, I better pass. I better pass." And then, she kept moving on, and sure enough, she comes out with the biggest bread pudding I've ever seen with ice cream and all kinds of stuff. And she said, "Here you go." And I said, "I told you I didn't want it." And she said, "That guy over there, Paul, he
She
said that
wanted it.
he
I
said
knew
he
you
wanted it."
wanted it.
And I said, "Oh my gosh, Paul." And then I ate it and I came up to you after and thanked you. And so, Paul, a couple things I learned about you. Number one, you're abundant minded. You're an action taker. You know what people want. I mean, I could tell you a lot about your business style just with that little exchange. But let's talk about your business for a moment and not bread pudding. Um, how do you guys? I mean, obviously, you can't just be around this that long with 200 combined years of field experience. You got to be doing something right.
Yeah, so I started this in 1988, and it was
Wow.
before hurricanes were even a thing. And I was working on, I was a window expert and working on construction claims and also on construction projects and things like that. And it's grown over the years from windows only to the entire building envelope. And also, I'm not personally not an engineer, but the company is an engineering firm. Some of my partners are engineers, so we've really expanded our offerings and our capabilities. And then, all these hurricanes have sort of, I wouldn't wish it on anybody,
Wow.
but if it happens, people need help, and that's what we're trying to do is help them.
I remember in Ohio, we had a hailstorm one time that was really tough and it damaged a lot of people's siding and a lot of people's roofs. And I'll tell you what, Paul, I had to, like, go on the defense. I had to, like, get pictures and prove, and then they rejected it, and then I had to, like, fight for it, and then it was a whole big drama, and I'm assuming that your book helps solve that problem.
It lays out the process to do it. I mean, so insurance companies will typically hire engineers and experts to come out and look at the claim
Yeah,
and advise them, and it doesn't always align with what the policyholder is expecting.
interesting.
So at that point, and nowadays people go straight to experts, even before they help them put the claim together. But it's good to have somebody from your perspective. Maybe the insurance company is correct. Maybe they're not, and
They
it's
they
good.
ended up paying it. I mean, they ended
Well,
up paying it. Yeah,
if they owe, they should pay, and if they
yeah.
don't, they shouldn't.
Oh,
But it's, each side typically has somebody representing them from a technical point of view.
interesting.
Because, like with your example with the roof and the siding, you knew it was damaged, but you probably didn't know exactly what needed to be done, how much it
Exactly.
costs, and all those sorts of things. So that's where it gets pretty complicated and confusing, and there can be a lot of frustration. So, the book's trying to bring some clarity to the process and help people kind of understand what goes on. I mean, nobody wants to go through this, but
Mm,
you have no choice if you get hit with a big event.
yeah. I heard, when you picked the cover, you really liked it because what does it illustrate to you?
Well, I did like it. I mean, my idea for a cover, obviously I'm not a graphic artist or a designer, was to show a big storm, the eye of the storm out in the ocean. And I was presented a bunch of concepts. This one's really cool because it shows the storm and a window. And as you look through the window, you can see clarity in your
Mm,
future.
wow.
So
It's got the
I really
prom
liked it. It was awesome.
it's got the promise. Yeah, yeah. And is this book for the person who has the damage, or is it for the insurance company? Both. I don't know.
So I'll just give full disclosure. I mainly work for property holders
Okay.
in this arena. I tried to be balanced
Yeah,
with what I was saying and present both sides of the story.
yeah.
So the book's for everybody, but you know I do mainly do work for property holders. So
Makes
I
sense.
I tried
No,
to
no, that
stay
but,
in the middle.
even talking with you, though, I've noticed that balance. Like, I've noticed the balance even in your last phrase a couple minutes ago, you said, "If the money is owed." Like
Right.
like, that's great balance. You're not out there being like, "Hey, let's just get every dime that we're not deserving."
No, I mean, first of all, it's not right, and it's just not going to fly. The first thing that happens from our perspective when a new claim comes in on a larger property is we do what we call a pre-inspection.
Mm,
We go out to the building and we look at it and we evaluate and we're asked, we think the windows are damaged, or we don't know if the windows are damaged. Can you look at them and let us know? And we go out and take a look. And because first of all, if they're not damaged and it doesn't look legitimate, I don't want anything to do with it. My company doesn't want anything to do with it. And we want to
interesting.
inform the property owner so they don't waste time and money chasing after a bad claim.
Ah,
So we do, I've been accused before. People say things like, well, Beers has never seen a window they didn't want to replace. And that's not true. It's really not true. And my clients will tell you that they do get no as an answer sometimes if it's not a good claim and it's just not
wow.
worth pursuing. We have a great team, really
You
great
do
team.
have a great team. I
Yeah.
mean, you have, men, women, you got all kinds of people. How do you build a good team, man? Because look, we're in strategic coach together, and that doesn't happen by accident.
It is not easy. I mean, so you I guess you aggregate it over time. And people come that maybe aren't the best fit or don't align with what we're trying to do. But when you get good people, you hang on to them, and that's what we've done. And we've got some really outstanding young engineers and technical people and our support staff. And without them, obviously none of this is going to happen because
Yeah.
there's only so much of me or anybody else to go around individually, so that the team concept really works well.
I love this person who says, "I don't even have my own house yet I'm intrigued in the topic." And, I almost feel like your book is one that you need to get before the storm. Like, you don't get this book when you're like, "Oh, crud," you know, the hurricane went through. I mean, first of all, your electricity's out, so you're probably not gonna get an Amazon book. But this is a book that you wanna have before. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, under duress, obviously, it makes it a lot more difficult to operate. So this, gives a good background of what can happen and what's required. And also, if people are thinking about replacing their windows or whatnot, they can kind of see where they may end up if they keep their 20, 30-year-old windows or older.
Mm.
And then also I talk about how newer windows that meet the current building codes, which I helped develop, by the way,
Oh, wow. Talk
are
talk to us about that.
just do much better. Well, after Hurricane Andrew in 1992, I'm dating myself, folks, but it is what it is. After Hurricane Andrew in 1992, I got involved. That was what got all this started. I
Okay.
got involved with a couple of professors from Texas Tech University in evaluating the damage and making some proposals to the code authorities in Miami-Dade County and then nationally about what to do to get better performance out of windows and doors. In Hurricane Andrew, the story we kept hearing was the windows blew out and then the roof came off, because once the windows blow out, the pressure goes inside the house and it lifts the roof off.
Are you
So
serious? Oh
yeah,
my
it's really
god.
serious. And what we did was we actually developed a test for how to test windows and doors and storm shutters in a laboratory, where you would fire a 2x4 timber out of an air cannon at the window and door, and if it's not worthy, it's going to go right through it. When we saw a lot of that early on, and then apply 9,000 wind pressure cycles to simulate the wind after you've damaged the window or door. And there's a type of glass called laminated glass that actually stops. It breaks, but it stops the 2x4. And
Wow.
that it was a big fight with industry and builders and those sorts of folks. But eventually, it made its way into the codes.
Wow.
And we started a test laboratory early on called Hurricane Test Laboratory, because
Mm.
nobody would do the tests that we proposed.
Why
And we
not?
said,
Money
fine,
involved?
we'll do our own test. And
Yeah.
it was very commercially successful. So, there's a lot of parts, and it seems simple, but it's not.
Yeah.
There's a lot of parts and pieces involved. And then, you translate that to a storm and trying to figure out, if something's damaged or not and what to do about it. And that's kind of how we got to this place.
Doors and windows, man, I'll tell you what, I don't think much about them, but we're in 30-degree weather right now in Ohio, and you bet if a child leaves a door or a window open, I say, "Shut that door," "Shut the window," like, pretty quickly, because we do take it for granted. Yet, I mean, it's a safety issue. Nobody leaves their door open at night. So it's safety, it's weather. Like, why do people take them for granted? I mean, is it kind of like your teeth or whatever? Like, you don't realize it till
Yeah. So windows and doors are the interface between the indoors and the outdoors. It brings the outdoors inside while keeping the outdoors outside.
oh,
Um, I just thought that one up.
That's pretty
And
good, man. We gotta tweet that. That's pretty good.
but it's but it's true. So you don't want the bad weather in, but you want to look out at the beautiful, your backyard, or in the case of in Florida with a lot of these properties, look at the ocean or the waterfront, or the golf course, or
Yeah.
whatever you've got. You don't want to hear a lot of noise coming through it. You don't want it to be hot or cold inside. They've done so much in recent years with the energy performance of windows and doors also.
Yeah.
So they're they do a lot, and they're asked to do a lot in a very, very vulnerable spot on the outside of the building.
I mean, I remember years ago, you're probably gonna laugh because the technology has improved, but at least back in the day, the big buzz here in Ohio was like triple pane glass. I don't know, is that still a thing, or I don't know?
I mean, triple pane glass is a thing. The further north you go, maybe not so much in Ohio, but now they've got all these radiant heat barriers, and they've got these high performance coatings and things like that. And then they've got what they call thermally broken frames, where there's it keeps the hot or cold from going through the aluminum or the vinyl or whatever. And they've come so far with all those technologies.
Yeah, that's great. You
Yeah.
got Keystone Integrated Project documentation. They're here. They're saying we're looking forward to reading your book. And tell you what, man, you got a good crowd. We got people on LinkedIn and X and YouTube and Facebook. A lot of people are going to watch the replay. What would you say to somebody? I mean, do you only work in Florida? Is the book for really people in Texas too, or the East Coast, West Coast? What do you think?
Yeah, well, I mean, this particular book is related to hurricanes, and obviously hurricanes are in coastal areas. So we've worked all over, anywhere there's hurricanes, all up and down the East Coast, a lot in the Gulf Coast. They get hit
Oh
all
wow,
the time. Caribbean. I've been to Australia even with there they call them tropical cyclones.
yeah,
But our company has worked in all 50 states. Um, to some
gee,
degree or another. So we do, not just the hurricanes. We work on water leakage. We work on construction issues. We work on property renovations, and we work on new construction projects. So there's a lot to it, and some of those projects that you're looking at are really significant. We did it. We were the building envelope consultant on Panorama Tower in Miami,
oh my
88
God.
stories. Right now it's about to get taken out of the title, but right now it's the tallest building in the eastern United States outside of New York City.
That is amazing. I look at
Yeah,
these other things, man. I've been to the Breakers. What a beautiful, beautiful
it
location.
is. It is.
The Ritz. I mean, gee. So don't be humble. You're pretty much big stuff. Your company.
Yeah, I mean, whatever needs. We've been some of the highest profile properties in the world. I was an expert witness on the Supreme Court building in Washington D.C. when they had a dispute, which
Gee,
was super cool to see that behind the scenes.
that
But
is cool.
yeah, wherever we can help, we're happy to do it if it's a fit for us and for the client. I mean, obviously we want it to be a win for everybody.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, folks, we're gonna pop in the website in the chat. It's a really cool website. Do you even have a podcast?
I do. It's called Everything Building Envelope, and that's got its own website, everythingbuildingenvelope.com. And we've done a lot. It's been a little dormant lately. I'm getting ready to get it fired up again, and I'm going to do a series of podcasts on field water infiltration testing, which is
Oh yeah.
sounds boring, but it's not. It's a big deal, and that may be the next book too, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Hey,
yeah.
we're we loved working with you. It was I love doing books that are on a topic that I don't know a lot about because I'm a learner and you've already taught me a ton about all this. I mean, the technology, the claims, the process. In fact, I love your subtitle, Navigating Window and Door Damage so you can cut through the confusion, document the damage, and resolve the claim. And that's really what we're trying to do. We're trying to get people the money they deserve and reduce
Yeah,
all. Yeah,
with as little, I mean, the pain points are all over the place, and we're trying to get through this with as little pain as possible, or
so good.
and
So good.
hopefully get a resolution that the insurance company and the property holder are happy with.
That's great.
They do say that the best settlement is one where neither side is happy, but
I got it. Or both sides. Is that even
right, both
possible?
sides happy
Oh,
would be
no.
better, but
Yeah,
that's the holy grail.
that is true.
Yeah.
Well, Paul, we can tell you're an expert in this. I mean, it's clear the Supreme Court testification, the testimony there that you did, the amount of work, the Australia. I mean, you've been all over the world, but we just see big things happen with this book already. On launch day, it was number 2 in its unique category, and that thing's only climbing as we speak. So I would just encourage people, get the book. You know somebody in the coastal regions. It's better to be prepared ahead of time. You don't want to have to wait till a hurricane actually happens. And it's cool reading. It's honestly, it sounds weird, but for the type of book that it is, it's a page turner. So
Yeah,
Paul, right? Isn't it?
well, I mean, it's not for everyone, but it's certainly for property owners and people who have an interest in
Oh
the
yeah.
exterior of building and windows and doors and
It's an
whatnot.
asset. Yeah.
Yeah,
Lots of people in real estate and Airbnbs, rentals. I mean, you got to take that serious. Well, Paul, thank you for trusting us to be your publisher.
you
Uh,
guys did a great job. You guys did a
oh
really
man.
great job.
Well, we're excited. I know this book's already being passed around at Strategic Coach where we go to, and lots of good stuff. So
I just want to say one last thing.
yeah.
Next week is the Windstorm Conference in Orlando,
Ooh,
and I will be there. I have a speaking engagement on a this type of topic, and also going to have a booth in the trade show. So if anybody who's listening is coming to the Windstorm Conference next week, please stop by and say hello. I'd love to meet you and chat with you.
that is good. We're gonna drop in a link, the Windstorm Conference 2024, and you say it's in Orlando.
Yeah, it's at the Renaissance Hotel in SeaWorld, which is a really nice property.
I found it. I got to show people. What a cool place to have it as well. So you get to speak here.
I do. I do.
That's big stuff, man. Well, hopefully you'll have the book there as well.
I got a bunch of copies I'm bringing with me.
Haha, smart man. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, folks, thanks so much for listening, and thanks to Paul and his whole team. And we see big things with your book. All right.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Thanks for
Yeah.
jumping in today, everybody. We'll see.